This week we are headed to Circuit Zandvoort. This is the Grand Prix layout with 15 turns, 2.67 miles. Takes 3 full laps before tires are warm, 5 or 6 before they're optimal. Had to add credits this week to make sure everyone knew that my producer is my daughter, Sienna. I am doing the driving and the commentary. And let's go to our track map. So the track map, there's passing opportunities are abundant here. The front straight, we'll see people swapping races. They're swapping positions all race long. As long as you get your pass before the turns, you're not going to slow each other down. You'll be able to pull a gap on people behind you. If you start fighting in the turns, those people are going to catch up, just like always. The other good passing area that you'll see is between 4 and 8. There's a lot of drafting in here. Just get your pass done before 8. 8 is not a good place to go side by side in. It's easy to push someone off to the side inadvertently as you go through there. You also compromise both of your times, and those behind you will start catching up. Coming into 9, again, that's a really fast turn. Most likely you're not going to get a pass going into 9. Coming out of 9 and going into 10, 11 area, there should be quite a bit of passing in there, mainly because the track is extremely wide, and there's a bunch of different lines that people take from 10 through all the way through 10, entry to 10, exit 10, into 11, and out of 11. 11 to 12, you'll see some passing. Once again, you want to get that passing done before 12 and 13, and then if you don't get a good exit out of 13, you'll see people try to get by before 14, but then until you get to the front stretch, it's tuck behind and just wait. Otherwise, you will compromise the times on there. The setups on here this week. Well, let's see. What's our next thing? I got the weather. So the weather is the default racing here. It is set to 78 Fahrenheit, 109 track at noon. This is like I said, 2.67. iRacing calls it 13. It is 15 turns. My optimal time on here is my fastest time was 1:54.327. I think you can go a little bit faster than that, probably 1:54 flat. If I could put all my corners together early in the week, hopefully I can do it by the end of the week. Temperature will make a huge difference on here. I've seen someone post laps, I think in the 153 mid-range or 152 even. It all depends on that temperature. You drop the temperature, you're going to run a whole lot faster. All right, the setup. Setup is not a whole lot of difference. I got a lot of brake bias in mine. 52. I'm liking it. I might back it off to 53 because it does give a lot of movement under braking. Might not be ideal during a race. The cold pressure is the same as every week at 25. SPO at 5. The fuel level 2.1. Anti-roll bar, I'm 7 or 8 every week. Nothing really changes on that. Let's go through see the track here. What we'll do is we'll look at one of the laps first, just as verification. You got it. The temperature, 78 degrees Fahrenheit, 108 degrees was the track. And let's go through and we will just watch a lap with no commentary. You see what it looks like. And then if you want to go out and try to drive it, go for it. If not, stick around and we'll go corner by corner and go from there. So that's our lap around for this week. We'll go ahead and go back and jump to it, and we'll start walking through it. So here we're just coming out of the last corner here. Just so there's nothing crazy as far as a run on this corner. It's just a standard corner. You're going flat out down here. You know, one of the things, we did a little mock race on Sunday morning, and Ben Daniels was trying to make the draft get broken, and he wasn't very easily. So just go straight, go fast, let people pass, start pulling gaps on folks. You'll be good. So as you're coming down in here, the first break point that you have, essentially on you're going to be in fifth gear. You're going to be downshifting from fifth all the way down into second. You're setting up all the way on that white line. You want to be as close as you can to it. Your turn in is going to be just past the 50-foot brake marker. This is at the same place that you're going to be braking as well. So right on this, and I'm sorry, I mean your turn-in's at the 50-foot brake marker. Your braking point is going to be at that black and white line there, just before, just after. It kind of a little bit matters with your brake bias. If you go with a 54, 55 brake bias, you're going to have to brake a little bit sooner. You go with the 52 brake bias, you can brake later, but your back end's going to start moving around on you under braking. So as we're coming in, we're going to come in. You can see my back end's moving a little bit, so I'm sort of counter steering to the left slightly, also because of the bank that's going on there. As I come in, I'm going to start turning that wheel right after that 50 marker. I'm going to start pointing down in this corner. I want to get all the way down into this corner here. I'm going to pull this up so you can see the mouse. You want to get your tire right inside of this. As long as it gets into there, it kind of grabs onto that tire, and it helps out a lot by allowing you to keep your speed up. I'm a little bit wide here, and you can get this corner a little bit better, get a little bit more rotation. You'll be really good out of this corner. So let's go through and watch it. We're coming through. You're going to track out all the way to the left. As you see when I come out, I'm going to stay kind of mid-track and set up for the next turn. Turn 2 is just a bend. That's what this is coming up to right here. This is turn 2. There's nothing on here. I'm just staying left. I want to keep my tires on that left-hand curb right there. I'm setting myself up to take this turn 4. So I've gone up and I'm shifted up to 4th. And you can stay into 3rd here. You'll kind of hit the red limiter. I like to go up to 4th and then use the downshift to get a little bit of rotation on the car. There's no brake on this point. All you're going to do is you're going to lift off the throttle just before the end of the rumble strip. So you can see I'm starting to lift off right there. Then my turn in is right at that rumble strip, and you're going to get a whole lot of car rotation on that. The back end of this car is going to be sliding out and everything on here, and I'm going to track out all the way to the left-hand side. I'm going to get back as far right as I can on here, but I'm not overly concerned about getting all the way back over to here. My main goal is to, if I can get right about middle track, I'm fine. That's going to set me up really good for turn 4. I'm in 3rd gear right now. I'm going to start downshifting almost immediately here. I'm going to start lifting the throttle and braking. The biggest thing here is you don't want to be turning. You want to get the car pointed about right here and start your braking. If you're turning, because you need to brake almost immediately when you get out of this. So you'll see I'm going to start braking here really soon. Right past the end of that curb, my brake starts, I lift, I start braking, I'm downshifting. There's my next downshift right there. That puts me all the way down into 1st gear, and then I'm back on the throttle before I actually apex, right along that edge there. Then I'm unwinding, come all the way out to that curb, and then the next set of turns that you have on here is really just going 5, 6, and 7. Just goes, it's flat out. Make it as straight as possible without getting off track. You don't have to, you can turn here. You can see how far I stay to the right at this one. Kind of use that camber to keep my car to the right here. I'm going to track out far to the left-hand side. A lot of people, I've seen that they're lift right in here going kind of over the hill where this curb is on the left-hand side. I've been coming over and then brushing the brakes just a little bit right before that the service road comes in, with my turn in right about at the service road. and then right back on throttle. As you can see, I'm getting back to full throttle, tracking out far to the left. At this point, I'm in fourth gear, I believe. At this point, I've gone from fifth. I've gone down to fourth gear. This corner or that corner was just about flat out. You go about 70%, but then you get back into full throttle before the apex on here. This next turn here is what is this? This is turn 9, I think, here. So it was 8. So coming into here, you're staying way to the left. You see this little kink in the road right here. I'm starting my turn in. You come back here, it's almost even with this white line is where I'm thinking about. You can see my wheels start to turn in there. It's kind of an early turn in, and I'm getting the car's rear to kind of start to slide out on me. And then I do a downshift right in here. Sometimes I've gone through this and fourth and then downshift on the backside, but I think it's a little faster if you go get your off throttle, downshift as soon as you get that little bit of rotation, go back to full throttle again, track out all the way to the left hand side. This corner is super tricky. You're coming up on this corner. You're in third gear. You're just about or fourth gear. You're right in that range. You're just about going flat out. I call it. It doesn't have a name. It's my nemesis. I have problems with this corner. Stay far left as you can. Don't hit the curb. The apex on this curb is up in here. You'll notice that what I'll do is I'll brake a little bit and I'll point to the nose towards this curb when I start turning in up here. You can take this corner as a late apex, as an early apex, and go way wide. It all comes almost to a wash, at least for me, because if I late apex it, I get more of a straight line and a wider turn 11. If I early apex it, I go wide, I hold speed, and then I have shorter distance to cover, but I don't have as much speed through turn 11, but you kind of pick it up. So it's kind of a wash. On this one, I do what would I call be kind of an early apex and go way wide. You'll see I come right there. I'm going way wide, all the way out to that curb. Come back just a little bit, and then I'm going full throttle, and right about where the end of these trees are is where I'm going to go to braking in a straight line and then turning and starting to get some rotation in. So I'm full throttle, and then I start braking right here. I'm getting that rotation. I'm keeping the left tires close to that curb, and then I'm going full throttle before I even look how far I'm going full throttle. So as soon as I come up to that apex, I'm boom, full throttle again, coming out of here. I'm not tracking out super wide. I don't want to take all that extra distance. You can, and times are about the same as what I've seen. Maybe later in the week I'll figure out how to do it faster with the more proper line. Coming into here, this is the next turn. This is, what is this, the 12 and 13th. So, you shift it up to from second coming out of the corner, you're going into fourth, you're going, fourth right here. You might actually hit fifth in a draft along here, or you'll hit the rev limiter. Right before I get to the curb on the left-hand side, I'm going to come off the gas. You'll see that comes off the gas. Go right into the brakes, doing my first downshift. I'm going to downshift twice, so I'm fourth, so I'm in third right now. And now I'm going into second. And I'm aiming for the apex where my left tire is going to stay on the track, where my right tire is going to go over this curb right here. Get a whole lot of rotation in the car as I go through there. Almost immediately as I start making this right, I'm already planning on making this left. You'll see I'm pretty much back on the gas. That sort of stabilizes the car. But then as soon as my wheel gets straight, I am going all the way to the left, downshifting again. So I'm going down into first gear. And then right before this asphalt patch, I'm going to be at full throttle again just before that, keeping the left-hand tires on this, call it Grasscrete for now. And I'm full throttle. Track out just as far as I need to. Drive down here. This next turn, It's going to be just past this 50. I'm going to start to lift on the throttle a little bit. And right about at that sign, I believe is going to be my, I guess I'm lifting at the sign. So right at the sign I'm lifting, and that's also where I start to do my turn in. What I'm doing is I'm aiming to get these tires. These tires will stay on the left-hand side here, while the right tires will go on the grasscrete. As soon as they're all on the grasscrete, I will be at full throttle again. So you'll see I'm going to full throttle right in that area. They drop on there. As soon as they get in there, I'm starting to put that gas on. Going full throttle, tracking out, hitting what I'll call the sandcrete out on this side. Then I'll start my turn in right when that sand creek ends. And this is a long turn. You stick on the apex a lot. So you're going to come out. It's a sort of a gentle turn in, and then you'll stay right on the right-hand side curb. When it comes up here, you're going to stick right on that and then start unwinding the wheel until you're straight. And then you're done with one lap. I'm going to go and show the far chase, and so you can just see how much the rear end does move in the car to get rotation on here. So we'll go through and redo this lap here. I'll talk about it a little bit. I might play it a couple times as we go through, just so you can see what I'm talking about as far as rotation from downshifting and from the brake bias. See the back of that car really start to slide out. I had to catch it. You get the same thing coming up here and going into this turn. Really slides out, full throttle to catch it. Braking. I don't like it sliding out as much here. You can do it and you don't lose a bunch of time, but you do lose a bit of the time if you slide out through that last corner. Here you can see I'm turning in early apex and really letting it track out, using the camber on the track to help me stay right. Here you'll see some slide out again and then back to full throttle. You see a little kink in there where I turn in right before. Here you'll see the car come way out, just right on the edge. Again, a lot of rotation, full throttle. Important thing with the rotation is you don't want too much, and you want to get out of that rotation quickly so that you don't overslow. Bunch of rotation coming up in this turn. Back end slides. And probably the most rotation that you get under braking, everything is going to be this turn right here. It really slides out on you. And I'm going to rewind that just a little bit. So I'm going full throttle. It's almost like the car sits. As soon as you get about right there, it sits and just hooks up, and you can go full throttle. If you go full throttle a little bit sooner, I'm noticing it really pushes me wide, and I'll end up getting out here in the sand, which you do not want to do. Not on the sand creep, but the sand, so another 2 or 3 feet to the left, and you get it off track occasionally, and if you go a little bit further, you will slide out. So you got to be really careful with that. And then this is that last corner. And that's it. That's one lap at Zandvoot. I hope you guys enjoy. If you have any comments or suggestions, send me a message. I appreciate it. And good luck racing this week. If you have any comments or suggestions, send me a message. I appreciate it. And good luck racing this week.